Okay, so let's take care of fucking business. First, we have the first championship race is a Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. There is a favorite in out of North America, and that is here, Rushing Fall, the 11, with JJ Castellano as the jockey and Chad Brown as the trainer. This is the combination that won last year's Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. Rushing Fall is the favorite at 7-2. She just ran in Keeneland on a mile and 16th on the turf in the Jessamine Grade 3, and look, she was 11th by 8 lengths, 12th by 9 lengths, 9 by 6 lengths, and then her turn of foot was explosive, and she was given an 84 Beyer figure. Now, with the Beyer figures, the old handicappers don't believe it's a speed figure that we give horses, and it has to do with not only the speed of the horses, but also the speed of the track, because some tracks run different. There's always track biases. Sometimes it's you know, close to the rail, sometimes it's on the outside, and we have to figure out the bias as we go along. And this meet just started at Del Mar, so we're not gonna have a real keen idea of what the biases are. Let's start going through the horses in this race. So the favorite's Rushing Fall, and she is the best last race Beyer. And that's just a simple way to give a horse a favorite where she might not necessarily deserve one. She was well back early. Obviously, it was an incredible turn of foot. I think those were much easier horses to get by. I don't find it too difficult to leave Rushing Fall alone. What I find very difficult is to leave the European favorite alone. Her name is Happily. She's trained by Aidan O'Brien. Aidan O'Brien is a superstar in the horse racing game, but he's just one of 19 with first-time European import since 2016. So that makes it a little easier to stay away from Happily. But she just beat the boys in a giant Grade 1 race in France. That field included Massar. Massar is in this race. Massar is the favorite in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, and Happily just took him out with pretty much ease, and that is very concerning. If this race was happening in Europe, clearly Happily would be the choice, but what we're going to do is we're going to not believe that Happily will win this race because of the difficulty it is for these horses coming across the pond over to North America. So in the Juvenile Turf, okay, so the big thing that people are a little hesitant with Happily is that she missed her last race due to a temperature. It is a little concerning. It was just a temperature, they claim, and not a big deal, but you don't want that happening within a couple months of your horse running, especially a horse you're going to invest heavily in. The big thing about Happily here in race 6 is she's got this great post. She's on Lasix for the first time in her life, which could be very advantageous, and she's the second post. And she's got Moore and Aidan O'Brien. These are superstars in the horse racing world, and it's tough to fade Happily. But let's keep running down. So first we're going to just start with the European horses, and then we're going to move on. The next European horse that is quite good is the number 10, September. Now, she has lost twice to Happily. Here is September right here. So September will also be a first-time Lasix user. You can see she lost to Happily here. She came third. She was almost 4 lengths back of Happily in this one. And then here, Happily didn't win this race. A horse named Magical won it. And she was 3 1/4 lengths back of Magical. So just 2 lengths back of Happily. She's a good horse, and now you're getting a better number. She's 6-1. You're getting a better number because she's lost to Happily. Again, I'm just gonna forget that these Euro. I'm just put a line through the Euro, and it's dangerous. But the reason why people really like September is she has an absolute star pedigree. It's some of the best. So her dad is Japanese star Deep Impact, and you know, he's just an absolute star in the horse racing world. And then her dam here, her mom is Peeping Fawn, and Peeping Fawn was a 4-time Grade 1 winner over in Europe, and that's just a superstar parents, and that's why she's so highly regarded. Now, a big thing here is that Ryan Moore could have rode September. Ryan Moore had the choice, and he chose to ride Happily simply because Happily is a better horse. So that's a good sign, knowing that at least Happily is better than September. We have another European here called Juliet Capulet. She's coming out of the 13 hole. That is a very tough spot to come from. When you're that far outside, it's just going to be very tough for Juliet Capulet to come over. Now we've got Frankie Dettori, just a championship European rider, and John Gosden. These are all-world trainer jockey combinations. And when we break down Juliet Capulet a little more, not only the post is a problem, but the distance is a cause for concern. But this is a very talented horse coming off a Grade 2 win in impressive fashion. When we take another look at her quickly, you can see that she's not been running a mile. She ran 6.5 furlongs and then 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. So there is a question about whether she'd be able to stretch out. She's at 12-1, so you're getting a nice spot. But I, again, am going to leave this talented European horse out of the mix. Now we come to American horse that I like quite a bit. This is a horse named Capla Temptress, right here. Originally from Ireland, has come over and raced in Canada in Woodbine on September 17th in the Ultima Grade 1 Stakes. Now that's a slow Bere, but the track was running slow that day, or Bere, and the track was running slow that day, and she had a lot of traffic. She was seventh by 5 lengths, and then she started making her move. She bumped, finally found room, and came right through. I think a very interesting thing about Capla Temptress is that she was not on Lasix in her first race here. So now Bill Mott has taken over training, a Hall of Fame trainer, and has put her on Lasix, and Joel Rosario is still riding her. This is very intriguing at 6-1. Extremely intriguing. Now, I am not taking Capla Temptress to win, but I know some horse racing experts that are taking Capla Temptress to win. Now let's keep rolling through. Now I like Capla Temptress to be there, and at this point, she's my 4th choice, but I'm very concerned about this horse. Next up, we have the number 12, Dixie Moon. Dixie Moon, her father won the Breeders' Cup, and she's going to be right on the pace. She's going to create the pace. She's going to run people are going to have to try and catch her. She is the daughter of Curlin, and a phenomenal horse, and got the Silva riding her, and she's come down from Canada with 3 horses from Woodbine. At first she was on the synthetic, and then she moved over to the turf. She's looked great in both. She was in that Ultima that Capla Temptress won, and Capla Temptress had to get past Dixie Moon, and Dixie Moon ran a 23-3 opening quarter, and that's fast on turf, and she'll try to get away with a tiny bit slower. I don't think she'll be able to. But she was in that race, and people believe that she's going to go to the lead, try to go all the way, and might be able to do it. I don't think. I think her buyers are too slow. In her last race, that she looked really good, and she only beat Ontario-bred horses, but she beat Ontario-bred colts. She went against the boys and beat them. Next horse is number 5, Ultima D. She'll show a lot of speed, but I believe that distance is a big issue for her. Now we're going to get into 2 horses that I really like, and they're come attached with crooked numbers. First off, at 12-1 is a horse that I'm going to take to win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. It's a horse here named Best Performance, with Jose Ortiz, a phenomenal jockey, and Christophe Clement, a great trainer. Now, Best Performance has looked very good. Now, she lost to significant form, who's also in this race, and who I believe is going to be a very tough horse to beat, and may win this race at 8-1. But I'm going to take Best Performance at 12-1. I'm intrigued by a couple things. First, I just watched that Miss Grillo, this Grade 3 stakes race that she just ran at Belmont, and where she lost to significant form, and she had to go 6 wide, almost all the way around. And then the big thing that jumped out at me was Lasix. She's doing first-time Lasix. After 5 races, it could be that Christophe Clement was waiting for the right time to give her the Lasix, to give her that boost. That's what I'm going to bank on here in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. I'm going to bank that Best Performance will have her best performance. I'm getting 12-1, which is just a monster situation. Anytime you get a double-digit horse, you can make a lot of money. I'm going to take shots with double-digit horses throughout this as many times as I possibly can. And when I was deciding between Best Performance and significant form, I went with Best Performance because of that. I like the number, 12-1. First-time Lasix, Ortiz Clement is a good combo with 6 wide. I think she's got a really good shot. But she's going to have to get past significant form. I also like Best Performance's spot. A lot of people don't like the rail, but for a horse that's just going to sit back and stalk the pace, I think it's a really nice spot to be in. So I think I really like that. And I think that significant form, the 8 horse, ridden by Irad Ortiz with Chad Brown as the trainer, is going to have more difficulty in 8th spot. She's going to have to be moving right away. She's going to have to find herself in a good position, or she'll have to run it all the way outside. If Capla Temptress or Orbolution or Ultima D, if these horses all run at the same pace right off the top, then she's going to go so wide off the turn. She could go so wide around that first turn that she will lose the race. I don't need to worry about that with Best Performance. Significant Form is a really good horse. Again, I know some experts that are taking her to win this race. Great tactical speed. She's going to be at a great price. I know why people would take her at 8-1. The only other horse I'm going to bring up in this race, because the other ones I don't think have a chance, is Orbolution, only because her dad won the Kentucky Derby, and I won a lot of money on that race. It was one of my first big hits 4 or 5 years ago, and I went to the Derby. It was my first time going to the Derby, and it was a muddy day. And her dad, Orb, came from 17th or 18th place, and it was amazing because it was Orb's last win. But Orb won, and I believe the horse that came second was Golden Soul, because I had Orb to the field and the field to Orb, and if Golden Soul, the second longest shot on the field, had it just passed her, it would have been, you know, like a $7,000 or $8,000, $10,000 win. Even the way it was, I had extra cash on Orb across the board as well. It was a wonderful spot to be in. And it was a real rainy day at Kentucky Derby, and just, man, drinking mint juleps and being at Churchill Downs was one of my greatest memories ever, and now hitting with Orb's dad. But I don't think Orb has any chance. I think her best performance is just, she's no match for even Significant Form is going to be right beside her. But I did write her down for notes. So that is my situation with the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. I like Best Performance, the one horse, with Jose Ortiz in the reins. I think this is a great spot. 12-1 morning line. We'll see what she ends up at, but I think this is a real good spot. First time Lasix. I'm going to go with Best Performance. Now, I might tie her up with Happily. I also might tie her up with Significant Form. I might tie her up with Capla Temptress, who I'm very concerned of, but I'm, for whatever reason, not that concerned of Rushing Fall, but we saw that turn of foot is incredible. But you just don't want to take a favorite when you're dealing with 2-year-olds. Bam. That's the first race. Now,